this shit, bro. Oh, hell no. No. Man.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro, fuck all that. Hey, Prime, fuck all that shit, bro. Man, fuck, hey, fuck all that. Hey, Prime.
What's up, bro?
Hey, you got me, fool. You got me, right?
Bro, what's up, bro?
Hey. What
Come
the
hug, yeah, hug me.
What the
Come
fuck?
hug me. I want you to hug
Hey,
me.
what?
What's up?
Man, what the fuck that? Hold on, bro. I think he got a knife. Not shit. Shit.
Damn!
Thank you so much for joining me in Cryptic Corner this evening. We are recording the storm during the storm live from the Hive, so thank you for that that I'm dealing with right now. So yeah, I see it. I was muted. Thank you guys. Yeah. I didn't stay muted that long this time. I'm watching my chat, and you guys are actually coming in more closer to real time. So yeah, welcome to Cryptic Corner. Today we are going to be looking into something that's been it's one of these ones that's smaller, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to cover this because it's a freaking fantastic story. But anyhow, in Cryptic Corner, we like to pick apart supernatural, alien, and cryptic or super science, any of this stuff. We pick it apart and see if with a skeptic lens and see what actually is underneath it. Yeah, the machine gremlins are going goblin. Maybe maybe the day star is a gremlin. We're looking at a bizarre creature that I bet a lot of you guys have never even heard of. Let me pull it up here. This is something from the island of Wight. Actually, I'll say it's a new one for us here in the Hive. We'll leave it at that. Let's see here. So, but we've covered, aliens before, so it's not like so different from that. This is Sam of All Colors, or All Colors Sam, or the Sandown Clown, as he's. Yeah, Bree is muted. That's the name of the band. Yeah, I'm like replacing Knock by being the star who does that every show. Anyway, so this is the Sandown Clown. So what the heck is the Sandown Clown? That sounds weird, right? And it looks weird too. Look at this thing. Look at what we have here. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Let's see if we open up image in a new tab. And I can zoom in on the face. Yeah, look at our friend here. Okay, so this is a drawing of Sam, and Sam is the Sandown Clown. These are his triangle eyes. This is his square piggy nose. His cheeks are divided by 2. And he's got a fleshlight for a mouth. So he's a bizarre creature with 3 toes. But one of the weirdest thing about him is this right here. It's this microphone that Sam carried around with him. But I actually found a video, so I don't have to sit here and explain it all by myself, and I'm going to let them explain it while we cut in like we do with our commentary. All right, so I guess I should plug the channel first. What I'm talking about, I always forget to do that. Shrouded Hands is the channel that this is put out by. This is this thing toes the line of urban legend and supernatural society, because some of the stuff about it is like confirmed that yeah, this is here and this is there, but a lot of the information about it is gleaned from like third-hand accounts. Okay, well,
This happened in early May 1973 in Sandown on the Isle of Wight. 2 children, a boy and a girl of 7 years of age, were near Lake Common in Sandown. At around 4 o'clock, they heard in the distance an eerie wailing noise which they described as sounding similar to an ambulance siren. They walked in the direction of the sound, which took them over a golf course and through a hedge until they ended up in a swampy field next to Sandown Airport. As they entered the field, the wailing noise stopped, so they decided to explore the area. Nearby was a narrow stream with a wooden bridge crossing it. As they walked across the bridge, a 3-fingered hand wearing a blue glove rose up from underneath. The hand was attached to a strange figure who emerged from underneath the bridge holding a book.
So tell me, this doesn't sound like it would be like the inspiration for Stephen King's It. It just to me, it just sounds like, yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. And yeah, I know I was muted before. I'm just I'm having a time. Some people know what I've been struggling with the last few days, and some people don't. But if you do, just a little bit of grace goes a long way. I appreciate everybody for hanging in and sticking with me. But we're gonna get through this. We're gonna find out what this crazy clown creature is. If one way or the other.
He dropped the book into the water and spent some time splashing about trying to retrieve it. The description of this person or creature is highly unusual, and I'll quote it exactly as it was first reported. He was nearly 7 feet tall and had no neck, for his head appeared to be wedged straight onto his shoulders. He wore a yellow pointed hat which interlocked with the red collar of a green tunic. A round black knob was affixed to the top of his hat, and wooden antennae were attached to each side. The face had...
See, it's weird that they describe like wooden antenna and things like that. He doesn't sound real like he has like the best tech. It's kind of weird. Just listen to what the description of him. It's so weird.
Had triangular markings for eyes, a brown square of a nose, and motionless yellow lips. Other round markings were on his paper white cheeks, and a fringe of red hair fell onto his forehead. Wooden slats protruded from his sleeves and from below his white trousers. I'll also add to this description to say that his clothes were all torn up and he had bare feet. Each foot had 3 toes to match his 3-fingered hands.
Yeah, I really do think that Stephen King heard this story doing some lines back in the 70s. I don't think that that's even in question at this point. The red hair. So it's like the wooden things is what's throwing me off. It's like, so you think of an alien, right? You think of like high tech gear and whatnot. That they'd have to be more technological advanced than us, right? We've moved well beyond using wood. I don't think wood has ever been used as an antenna. So could the antenna could only be, like decorative then, right? What other purpose would wood serve?
After retrieving his book from the stream, the figure made a weird hopping motion with his knees raised up high, and he went into a metal windowless hut. The creature then came out of the hut holding what looked like a black microphone with a white cable. The wailing siren type sound started up again, but this time it was so loud that the children got scared and they ran away. The siren then stopped and a friendly voice called out, "Hello, are you still there?" The voice was coming from the creature talking into the microphone, but although they were quite far away from him at that point, it sounded like he was standing right next to them. I don't know about you, but I probably would have kept running, but then again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Stranger danger.
Yeah, that's the same way I'm feeling here, brother. I would have booked it. I would have been running even faster when he started like talking to me. I'd be like, "Oh, he saw me! It saw me! It's all over!" There was a time when me and my brother were walking home from school. We had to walk this really dumb route, right? Because the way the crossing guards were, we had to walk a half a mile up the road to cross, and then walk all the way back down about 6 miles to get to where my mom worked, and that's where we would wait. And we were walking, and somebody pulled up in a minivan, like, and opened the doors and said, "Hey, we know your mom. We want to give you. We know you're walking to her office, and we're going to give you a ride." Me and my brother booked it. We, because we grew up in with this stranger danger kind of stuff, and ran all the way to my to my mom's office. We ran almost the whole way. And when we got to my mom's office, she the people that were in the van were sitting there with her, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you did the right thing. We're sorry we scared you," but it was people that actually knew my mom and stuff. But yeah, so it was like this was ingrained in us as children, that there were people out there who wanted to snag us and do bad things to us. There were. I remember what's the movie? My Name is Steven, that freaking haunted me. Still haunts me to this day. That movie. That poor kid. But that was like a big stigma in my brain growing up, and I imagine anybody else who grew up in that time frame, including our host here, may have had the same experience.
Yeah, made me naturally wary of creepy characters hanging around in the bushes, and that TV adaptation of Stephen King's It put the fear of clowns into me from a young age. And now that I think about it, that Billy Goat's Gruff story probably taught me not to trust anything that emerges from underneath a bridge either. I guess these kids were more trusting. It was the 70s, an absolute golden age for child snatchers. They thought the voice sounded trustworthy. They walked back to the hut with the deformed clown thing standing outside it. The clown took out a notebook and wrote in large letters a series of words that were not written in any intelligible order. The creature pointed to each word in the order that they should be read, and the girl read them out loud. She read out, "Hello, and I am all colours Sam." They came closer and they found that the creature could talk without its microphone, but its speech was muffled, described as being rather like that of a person who does not open their mouth properly. Also, his strange yellow lips didn't move when he spoke.
Yeah, because I don't think that the kids assuming if this really happened and these kids are looking at this, it sounds like this maybe a person in a costume to me, right? Like a weird costume, but a costume nonetheless.
He asked the children questions about themselves, and they asked him questions in return. They asked him about his ripped clothes. He said he only had one set of clothes to wear. They asked him if he was a man. He said no. They asked if he was a ghost. He said, "Well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way." They asked, "If you aren't a man and you aren't a ghost, what are you?" To this he only replied, "You know."
That was a good special effect there. Did you see that? All they did was take out the face, an image of the face, and switch which direction it was looking, and shifted it right at the right time. That was so perfect. I want to watch that again. Where he said, "You know." That was good stuff.
"And you aren't a ghost, what are you?" To this he only replied, "You know." He told the children that he kept himself hidden because he was scared people might attack him. He also said that there were others like him, and he drew a sketch of one of them in his book. Another weird detail is, while all this was going on, there were two workmen fixing a post nearby, and they didn't react at all. It was as if they couldn't see the children or the clown creature. The Sandown clown invited the children into his hut. They entered by crawling through a flap in the side.
Hey, would you follow the Sandown clown into his hut? Let's do a poll. At least do one poll. There you go. Yeah, we can decide how many of you all are these brave children, and how many of you are reasonable people.
Inside, the hut was divided into 2 levels. The walls of the ground floor area were decorated with a blue and green wallpaper covered in a pattern of dials. There was some rudimentary wooden furniture and some kind of electric heater. The upper floor was more cramped and had a metal floor. Once they were inside, the creature removed his hat to reveal round white ears and patchy brown hair. He told the children that he drank water from the stream once he cleaned it, and that he ate berries which he collected in the afternoon. He also
They're going to talk about these berries in just a minute, too. This gets really weird, guys. So, do you have your popcorn ready? Because this guy, I mean, obviously right now, no lips moving, speaks with the microphone, can't hear him, has triangle eyes and 3 toes, and he's really a weird dude, right? But it's going to get weirder. Wait till you hear what he's going to do next.
indicated that he had a camp on mainland Britain that he would visit sometimes. He then did something extremely strange. He took a berry and put it into his ear. He then thrust his head forward quickly, causing the berry to vanish from his ear and reappear in one of his weird triangular eyes. He then thrust his head forward one more time and the berry appeared in his mouth. The children and the clown chatted for about half an hour before the kids said their goodbyes and exited the hut. They ran across the golf course.
So, like, he's doing, like, tricks for him and stuff, right? So he really does sound like a clown at that point. Do not drink from that stream or eat those berries. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe these kids ate the berries. What kind is there anybody in here from the UK? What kind of poison berries grow on the island of Wight? What kind of berries grow on the island of Wight? Let me know. Somebody, let me know what kind of wild berries are indigenous to that island.
Course back to Lake Common. They told the first adult they met that they'd just seen a ghost. Of course, they were laughed at and sent on their way. Perhaps this is why the girl waited 3 weeks before she told.
I don't know why they would say they saw the way the description doesn't sound like a ghost to me. Does it sound like a ghost to you guys? Would you describe what I don't know, in the 70s and in a different part of the world? You're right. You're right, guys. I'm sorry. Cultural differences are probably at play here. I should be taking that into consideration when I say that they're going to call it, why do they call it a ghost? All right. Back off, guys. Sorry.
Told her father about her experience. Naturally, at first, the father also laughed. He assumed the tale was the result of an overactive imagination, but his daughter was so insistent that it had happened and provided so much detail that he got the feeling that there might be some truth to her story. He sought out the boy who had been with his daughter at the time of the encounter and asked him about the events. He says the boy wasn't as easy to talk to as his daughter, but he did confirm that they had indeed encountered that strange figure, and the details that his daughter had provided were true. Eventually, the man wrote down the story and sent it to the Bufora Journal, the British UFO Research Association journal. It appeared in the January-February issue of 1978. Now, you might be wondering why he decided to contact.
All people in Britain are pale because it doesn't get any sun. You can't get a tan there. Well, I don't know. I guess Island of Wight's on the south, though, right? So you may be able to get some color. I think there's some beaches and stuff down there. I'm not familiar with the actually, I feel kind of silly that I didn't even consider investigating the berries when I didn't even consider investigating the berries when I was pulling this up to cover, so I didn't even prepare myself for this part of the investigation, so I am very sorry. Hey Bree, can you do Geff, the talking mongoose from the Isle of Man? Oh yes, I can. Yes, I'm familiar with Jeffrey, Jeff the mongoose, the talking mongoose. Yes, that's a good idea. We should do that. It's similar to this too, like a one-off kind of weird phenomenon.
The UFO Association in the first place. After all, the children always maintained that the person that they'd met was either a ghost or a man dressed up. Well, in the years leading up to this encounter, the girl's father had seen a number of strange things himself. In October of 1970, 3 years before the Sandown clown incident, he was driving his car at around 7 p.m. He was going through the village of Brading and then he turned right, heading towards St. Helens. It's hard to tell exactly where he was, looking at...
Okay, thank you, Plastic Jesus. I thought maybe nightshade berries were indigenous. I wasn't sure. So they're Northern European. So, and those berries do look edible, and they do look enticing. But this description doesn't sound like somebody experiencing the throes of deadly nightshade. I think we would probably expect to have some vomiting and fever and stuff like that, right? That's the... Barry has $240 worth of pudding. Oh, Barry from the Island of Wight. Yeah, my island of Spookies. Yeah, Spookies one of the people I lean on for this kind of stuff when I talk. When it comes to flora and fauna of the UK. No, usually I this is something I'm knowing myself. So yeah, let's continue on. See how they investigate this.
Google Maps, because I don't know the area and I don't know how the roads have changed since 1970, but I think it would put him either on Key Lane or Carpenter's Road. He looked to his right in the direction of the River Yar and he saw an enormous craft. He describes it as a ring of about 7 bright red lights, each of them a clearly defined sphere like a cherry. These lights were interspersed with turquoise and white lights.
See, this, and when it comes to this story, it's this girl's dad that kind of makes me question it, because it sounds like maybe they met like a I don't know, like a traveling, like a vagrant performer or something. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but that the kid's dad, who's really into ufology, kind of ran with it.
He says that the craft was somewhere between the road and Bembridge Downs and was hovering along the banks of the River Yar. So that would put it somewhere around here, only a couple of miles from where the children had had their experience. He stopped his car and watched the craft for a while. Then, as he drove on, it seemed to move.
Did anybody else catch that? Did you guys catch that? Let me rewind it. Just a little bit. And when he says the word craft, watch the screen very closely.
He stopped his car and watched the craft for a while. Then, as he drove on, it seemed to move with him, staying parallel to his car. As he got close to St. Helens, the craft flew lower to the ground and seemed to shrink. Now there was only 4 lights. Again, he stopped his car and he spent around 10 minutes signalling to the craft with his torch. The object appeared to weave back and forth in response to his signalling. He then drove to his friend's house and
I signaled him with my lighter, and in that moment I am happy. Wish you were here.
His friend was also able to see the lights. Later on he drove to Ryde and lost sight of the craft, but ever since that night, on a number of occasions, he would see single red lights in the sky which would hover nearby or follow his car as if they were observing him. In March of 1972, he had another strange experience.
See, these experiences are just kind of tacked on because the person who's reported the original thing, this is her father, so go figure. We're going to let them speak their piece, though.
He was at Compton Bay, which is over the other side of the Isle of Wight. It was between 9 and 10 p.m. There was a sudden and unexpected tidal surge that left him trapped on the cliffs. The surge seems to have been caused by something large under the water. The article describes it as a droning underwater craft which suggests it emitted some sort of noise. The only thing the man could see, though, were 2 yellow lights under the surface of the sea which peered up at him like the eyes of some horrible sea monster.
But that doesn't sound like our friendly clown who's popping berries in his ear and stuff like that. This sounds like something different, right? Like a different phenomena.
It wasn't until the lights disappeared that the tide went out and he was able to escape from the cliffs. He didn't tell his daughter about any of these experiences, so it's interesting that she had her strange encounter with the clown creature not long after this. I'm not sure whether this means they are related in any way, but the proximity of the red lights is at least a strange coincidence. Something else that interests me about this Sandown clown story...
But I wonder if the coincidence of it being reported by the same person is probably more significant, wouldn't you say? That if there's a correlation to be drawn from these incidents, it's not the proximity, because the person who's reporting it only has a certain proximity of their experience, of their lived experience, right? So it's just one person's reporting unusual phenomena, right? Now, in my work as a cryptozoologist, the more outlandish experiences a single individual claims to have had, the less likely it is that their story comports with actual events in the physical world. I'm not drawing that correlation as a conclusion. I am saying that is a correlation that we see in reported, what they call it, Fortean phenomena. That there are individuals who tend to experience a multitude of supernatural phenomena in their lifetime, or report to experience that. And the likelihood that that's a personal experience in that one person's existence, as opposed to something that's happening in physical reality, becomes more and more likely with each consecutive report, with each consecutive interaction. But it's hard to distinguish that from hoaxes, because with hoaxes, you generally start off innocuous. I saw a Bigfoot, right? I saw a Bigfoot. Just to get some attention. I'm not saying that everybody says that they saw a Bigfoot doing that. It's the people who escalated, okay? Oh, well, I saw a Bigfoot in the woods, so I went back the next weekend and left some apples and came back and they were gone. That's the next story. And then, maybe I sat in my car and set the apples out and watched the Bigfoot come get them. And the next thing you know, this person's interacting with a family of Bigfoot in the woods, coming over for dinner and things like that as the story goes on. And the more that the story elevates like that, the more likely that it's either a hoax or something that the person is experiencing in their own lived experience and not in physical reality.
Is that it follows the pattern of a classic alien abduction. An encounter with a strange humanoid creature who possesses some sort of futuristic technology. He then takes some humans aboard a metallic...
What was futuristic about this gentleman's technology? He wasn't in a craft. He was in a wooden shed. He didn't have super tech. He had a staticky old microphone. Yeah, maybe those kids were licking toads. Lick the toad. Yeah, when I play that Lick the Toad video, that's what I want to do. I'll know that comes from Joe Cartoon, which is this really vulgar website from my childhood, from Web 1.0 that was used JavaScript. It was just this bizarre bloody sophomore humor thing, but they had these stoned flies. They'd get stoned and say lick the toad and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where that came from.
Craft, or in this case a metal hut. There's an interesting book called Perspectives by John Spencer that talks about this phenomena. He argues that there are so many credible witnesses who report these kind of abductions, and they all follow a similar pattern, but their descriptions of what the creatures and their craft look like seem to conform to whatever the witness expects to see. So if you think aliens look like little grey men, or if you think they look like a 50s sci-fi robot, then that's what you're going to get abducted by.
Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of leaving your apples out, not apples, but I had ordered, this is something funny that happened to me yesterday. I had ordered DoorDash for lunch. I was like, and I'm not usually big on Chinese food, but I'm craving some egg rolls and crab rangoon. So I ordered just egg rolls and crab rangoon, a light lunch, with the soda. Got busy at work. But didn't get to get out there, so I sat out there for about 20 minutes. I went out to get it and opened the door, and only my soda was sitting there. I was like, what the heck? I looked over and I saw the Panda Express bag in the bushes, and I'm like, what the hell? And I walked over there, and the bag was all ripped open, and I looked, and the styrofoam was chewed through. There were big holes in it, and my egg roll was gone. The squirrels stole my egg roll. Somewhere there is a big fat squirrel out there with his belly full of cabbage and peanut oil that was supposed to be in my belly.
The book goes on to argue that there could be some kind of phenomena that we don't yet understand, something that the human mind can't quite comprehend fully, so when someone encounters it, their brain sort of fills in the gaps with whatever.
This is like something that Lovecraft liked to dabble in, this idea of horror. Well, and then I guess Stephen King rolled that out into his. That's what the creatures of the Toadish Darkness are. And if you haven't watched it, me and Ring, who you see in the side chat here, it's been over a year ago now that we did back when I was trying to see if I couldn't squeeze in a bug media section on the show. But we discussed the Toadash Darkness in Stephen King's universe. All right, so if you haven't seen that, we go into these creatures and their nature pretty in depth. It's on my channel, like way back in the back catalog.
The cultural references they have to try and make sense of it. The phenomena doesn't even need to be extraterrestrial in nature. Who knows, maybe there's some sort of swamp gas or magnetic field that produces a very specific hallucination when...
Yeah, but I'm a pescatarian though. I've been trying to figure out a better way to describe myself than a pescatarian, because I eat some chickens too. I eat birds, so I want to say I'm like what would I call myself? Like a diapsitarian. I'm gonna make that a thing. It's gotta be different, right? Why you gotta be all weird? I'm actually working towards veganism though, so that's probably not a good idea.
When someone is affected by it, it's like how multiple people report seeing the same things when they take DMT. Meeting some sort of godlike entity or the fabled machine elves, but the descriptions of what these entities look like will vary wildly between each experiencer. Of course, the most down-to-earth explanation for the Sandown clown is that the children fabricated the story. I can imagine a situation where the girl told her father some fanciful story about meeting a strange character, and the father, thinking that it might be linked to the strange lights that he had seen, asks her to go into specifics, and the daughter just keeps adding increasingly elaborate details, enjoying the attention that it brings her. The only thing I would say about this is the child referred to the clown as a ghost, and yet the description doesn't sound anything like a ghost.
That's what I was saying, but and this guy's culturally in the same culture as her, so that can't be the reason why she's called this. It's not cultural why I don't think this should be called a ghost. This guy from the UK is also saying that this doesn't match the description of a ghost in their culture.
If the girl was making up the story, she'd probably have heard plenty of classic ghost stories to draw inspiration from, and yet she invents a weird clown thing with wooden antenna.
I don't know though. Was the concept that was a Victorian ghost? I get that. And Victorian ghost imagery from the UK is very distinct, right? It is the Bob Marley. They are the ones with the. That's where we get the ghost with the death shrouds too, which is where you get the sheet ghost to begin with. That's what that is. It's a death shroud. It's they cover people up when they put them in their crypts, right? So there's a very distinct notion of what a ghost is in Victorian England, but I don't know about the 70s. I don't know much about the UK in the 70s at all.
As I say, she described something much closer to an alien abduction, but she never referred to it as an alien and had no knowledge of her father's UFO sightings. The other possibility, of course, is that the Sandown clown was just some guy dressed up and hiding in a marshy field for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but I find this explanation the most sinister. I mean, what would a guy be doing out there hiding under a bridge dressed as a clown? Why does he have a microphone?
I don't know if she'd say it was dressed as a clown, right? I think that's a bit of a stretch. Ghost Clown Spooky says, dressed as a clown. I don't think that this costume, that this creature or person, individual, ghost, alien was particular. I think that we're putting clown on it because of what the red hair and white face and the behavior, especially the trick he did with the berries and stuff. That is what gives me the impression that we are applying clown to this, and I don't know that this description of the creature would be would be what I would call a clown.
Phone to speak through, and why would he be luring children to his hut with a weird siren noise? The tale suddenly takes on a sleazy aspect. The description of the clown's face now makes me think of a latex fetish mask. Honestly,
No,
I'd rather think of it as an alien ghost clown.
A latex fetish mask? I don't get that impression at all. And this isn't what I think of when I think of a latex fetish mask either, but I did say the mouth kind of did sound like a fleshlight.
Than a real human being. I do wonder what happened to the children in this story. I think it'd be about...
But that's because the other thing I read about it referred to them as rubbery lips. Too. Round rubbery lips.
56 by now, so there's a good chance they are still alive and they might be able to shed more light on the story. Unfortunately, the Bufora article keeps...
I actually think Ring did create the spell that brought ghost nuns into existence. I don't think that they meant to. It was a scourge on the Catholic Church that they were trying to cast, but we ended up with ghost nuns. Can't win every time, Ring, but yeah.
Keeps the children and the father anonymous, so I don't think it would be easy to track them down. And if someone came forward to say that they were the children in the article, it'd be hard for them to prove it. And so the story will probably remain a mystery. A weird story that doesn't quite make sense. It's probably got a down-to-earth explanation, but there's enough strange details to keep it turning over in my mind.
Alright, well that's all history.
So thanks for watching, and thanks as usual to the patrons who are keeping the channel going. I know I usually cover more terrestrial topics, but hopefully you don't mind me doing videos about the weirder stuff like this now and then. So go and check out the Cool Dudes Walking Club channel. As I say, this isn't a collab or anything.
Yeah, go check out that channel as well. His video is pretty gangsta. he's a silly creator. But he does actually go out on the adventure.
If I was taking photos of anything nice, I didn't say
like this.
that I was looking for a massive 7-foot clown alien robot, which is probably a good idea.
Probably a good idea.
Read more comprehensive reports about this sighting,
this is the landscape,
I've put the links I found below in the description, so please have a look at those. This looks nice.
I really like this guy. Trying to make it seem all sinister. I'm afraid this audio is going to get me... Hold on, I'm going to mute that because I'm afraid that audio is going to get me in trouble. I don't know if that's copyright safe. I assume it is because this guy's channel is like 7,000 people. Or I was like 7,000 subscribers. So
Sites, I think where they might have encountered the clown. I can't see any evidence of it 49 years later. What a surprise. So let's return back along the golf course and I'll tell you my two spooky stories.
all right, so yeah, it's just a piece. Go check out his video on it too. It's his coverage of it is fun, and he actually goes out and visits the location of the Sandown clown sighting. Here we go. All right, so what do you guys think? It sounds like most of you all are living on the safe side, as Baby Bree was, and then a lot of it, and then 45% of you are living dangerously, like I did when I was a teenager, and would have followed this dude into a sewer to try to figure out what he was, because I was obsessed from 2004 to about 2011 with trying to have a supernatural experience, to know that there's something out there. I got jaded after my dad died about that too. That's a story for another day though. So thank you all for joining me in live from the Hive's Cryptic Corner, and it's Friday night, so join us for Live from the Hive live tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. live. It's in the name, but obviously this isn't live. But thank you for popping in and hanging out with us. Please remember to hit the like button and the bell notification for more Cryptic Corner videos like this one. We cover all sorts of fun topics, from mystery big cats to alien clowns. So I appreciate you. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.